G'day and welcome to Inside the Spa Business. My name's Trent Munday and the aim with the show here is pretty simple. My plan each week is to bring you information, advice and insights on a whole range of topics that are in and around and related to the spa and wellness industry. I really do appreciate you taking the time to come on in and have a listen. And if you like what you hear, I'd love it if you head on over to the iTunes store and leave a rating and a comment. I'll reply to every comment we get, of course. And while you're there, you might as well subscribe so that you can keep updated with each new episode. Special thanks to Mick and Carly Simmons over at Spa Sounds for providing the background music that you're going to hear throughout each episode. Smooth, soothing sounds just like that is what you'll get over at spasounds.com.au, where they've got all your spa music needs covered. Pretty much everything from a single digital download to a fully customized collection for your spa. So head on over to spasounds.com.au, tell them Trent sent you, and I know they'll take good care of you. In today's episode, we'll take a look at the evolution of destination spas and how the humble fat farm has come a long way. We'll go back to the 1960s when the segment first got started with the first health farms, and how they then got sideswiped a little bit by the fitness industry in the 70s and 80s, and then how in the late 90s they once again looked set for a bit of a resurgence until they got kind of sideswiped again by the hotel spa segment. And then finally we'll take a look at whether or not these destination spas today, which are often rebranded really as wellness retreats, might once again have a chance to make their mark. So let's get straight to the show. Let's take a look at the evolution of destination spas. If the resort spas of today owe much of their existence to the fat farms of yesterday, then the destination spas of today owe them everything. We truly have come a long way since those early years, and I can't imagine today anybody really marketing their destination wellness retreat as a fat farm. Nonetheless, an awareness of where we came from is always helpful in understanding where we are today and where we might be able to go tomorrow. Health resorts started to appear in the US market around about the 1960s. Not so much as an alternative holiday destination, but as a place to get your diet and your fitness plan sorted out. Fitness and nutrition were far from mainstream, so for those that did want to take action, the only practical option was to check into one of these resorts for a week or two for a strict regimen of healthy eating and vigorous daily workouts. And initially, there was nothing particularly glamorous about these places either. I mean, you only really went there if you really, really needed to. But at some point, however, the dynamic had shifted. Health resorts became something for the rich, or at least the wealthy, and the famous. To have made it through 10 days at the resort was not just a personal achievement, it was a statement of status. Before too long, the basic accommodation at these resorts gave way to the more luxurious amenities demanded of their ever-discerning clientele. It seemed like this was going to be the beginning of something big. But somehow, the concept never really took off. They weren't able to achieve significant scale, and instead, the fitness industry swooped in and stole the momentum. You see, it was an increasing awareness about being fit and healthy that was fueled in part by these health resorts that led to the rise of the fitness industry. And now, instead of having to drive for a few hours and stay for a week or two, the health-conscious consumer could simply sign up at their local fitness centre and go in every day and get their endorphin rush. And this was a business model that could scale, and it did. Fitness centres made health accessible to the masses. And sure, you still needed to pay some hefty membership fees, but if you wanted to take action with your health, this was a solution that was within reach. And these new temples of health provided access for so many more people than these health resorts ever could hope to. And the fitness boom was loud and it was long. Health resorts, in the meantime, slipped quietly back into the realm of a niche specialist service for a select few clients. And like with any bull market, the fitness cowboys appeared from nowhere with short-term schemes and scams designed to make a quick buck. Membership models that require upfront payment for several months or more at a time was the lifeblood of these businesses. And such models can be a great option for both the business and the customer. I mean, the business gets access to extra cash up front to help them grow the business in those critical early stages, while the customer usually gets discounts or additional benefits by paying in advance for something they know they're going to use, or at least they have every intention of using. But unfortunately, these same models work well for the cowboys too. Drive up the annual membership sales, get cashed up, then close down and run for the hills. And this is what happened a lot in the fitness industry. And many customers lost their money and, in the process, lost their faith in the industry. And now, as people lost faith, the shift away from fitness appeared to have set the stage for the comeback of the destination spa, because it was at this time, around about the early to mid-1990s, that saw the growth of the destination spa concept. With this, the seeds for many of the established destination spas that we know today, such as Shivasom in Thailand, Miraval in the United States, and say Ananda in the Himalayas, were planted. They were taking a concept initially developed by Deborah Szlecki at her Golden Door Resort in California way back in 1958, and they started to refine it. And these are names that we all know today because they've stood the test of time. In many ways, these companies are still servicing a niche market, but nonetheless, they've been the trailblazers in this particular concept of spa. And in these new destination spas, the service offering had evolved to be much more than just basic diet and fitness. It seemed that once again, destination spas were poised for greatness. But unfortunately for destination spas, around about the same time, another upstart business model appeared, and that was the hotel spa. And just as suburban fitness centres had a much broader appeal to the health-conscious consumers than the remote health resorts, hotel spas were accessible to anybody who could afford to visit the hotel. Destination spas offered a more technical and specific service to a select group who was still willing to pay a premium for it. But hotel spas, on the other hand, offered a more general pampering service to a much wider market at a far more affordable price. Most significantly, this hotel spa model was not just applicable only to resort destinations. Instead, the hotel spa model was able to be adopted into city hotels too, thus broadening the potential market even further. Curiously, the hotel spa boom seems to have lasted about as long as the fitness boom. Fitness had its run, if you pardon the pun, from the early 1970s until the early 1990s, and by the mid-1990s, hotel spas had started their run, and that's a run that continues to this day. But as we'll discuss here in a later episode, this momentum seems to have certainly slowed down in recent years. Now, it comes as little surprise then that just as the hotel spas are starting to struggle again, destination spas, for the third time, are attracting more interest. Could it be that this is finally the time for destination spas to have their time in the sun? Third time lucky, maybe. The main thing destination spas have going for them this time around is that they are ready. The concepts have been defined and much of the vagaries of the business models have pretty much been worked through. And although it still remains to be seen if these models can be truly scalable, they definitely do have a shot. And at the same time, there doesn't appear to be any other obvious spa model ready to jump up and take centre stage. However, destination spas will need to act fast if they want to have their own 20-year run in the sun. Why? Well, there's a noticeable upwelling in this area of wellness living, and it's a trend identified in the Spa Finder Wellness 365 12th Annual Trends Report. And the concept is simple. Instead of wellness being something that we travel to for a few weeks of the year, or we only experience when we're away from our home, we need to find ways to incorporate wellness into our daily lives. And if this sounds familiar, well, it is. Just as fitness became a daily or a weekly effort, wellness is going the same way. It's something that should be practiced every day, and that means it has to be happening in the home. And we're not just talking about the physical activities and actions of the people in the home. Wellness living starts at the design phase. Maximising light energy for the rooms, minimising additional heating and cooling requirements, low energy appliances, building with fair trade materials, all that kind of stuff. Fortunately for destination spas, wellness living will still need some time to become mainstream. And until then, we'll still need to go somewhere outside the home for our dose of wellness. But they need to be careful. We don't have the time or the inclination to go a long way for it. We want it close, we want it now. So, if destination spas can create a model that works in urban locations, this may well be the start of their run in the sun. And there you have it, my thoughts on the evolution of the destination spa segment. Would love to hear what you think. Head on over to the iTunes store and we can have a bit of a discussion over there in the comment section. Would also love it, of course, if you left a rating, and would love it even more if you decided to subscribe and follow right along. In next week's episode, we'll kind of round out this little discussion we're having on the evolution of the different spa segments with a look at the evolution of the hotel spa segment. We'll see how in just around 20 years or so, spas in hotels have gone from being kind of a rarity to being something today that is in any 4-star, 5-star hotel, pretty much anywhere in the world. And the big question will be, of course, where do hotel spas go in the future? Thanks again to Mick and Carly Simmons over at Spa Sounds for being our music sponsor. And most importantly, thanks to you for listening. And we look forward to seeing you again in the next episode. Bye for now.